by taking 23 into 3. Does 23 go into 3? No. So then we go 23 into 35. 1. So we put a 1 up here. And then what do we do here?
Oh.
Yes, we subtract. Sorry. So we subtract and we get 12. What do we do next? We bring the 8 down. Because we're going to be doing that today. That's what we're doing. So we bring that 8 down, and then we think about how many times 23 goes into 128. So I thought about 25. How many times 25 goes into 128? Which is about 5. Yeah. So when we multiply that, we take 5 times 3, which is 15. So 5, and then we carry the 1 up here. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And then we subtract again. And we get 13. And what do we do next? Bring down the 9. And so how many times does 23 go into 139? It's probably going to be more than 5, isn't it? 6. So 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Thank you, those of you that are sitting quietly. Guys. Elijah. Okay, so what do we get when we subtract? We get a 1. How do we write that? We write it with a remainder. So it's a 1, and we write remainder 1. So most of the time when you did this, you probably didn't write it like this, because this was in elementary school when you learned this. But another way to do that would be 156 and 1 over. Anybody know what it would be over? 156 and 1 over 23. So today when we do them, that's what you're going to need to do. So we're going to use that for this here. So now when we're dividing, what do we put on the outside and what do we put on the inside of our division?
The first one, x minus 8 outside.
X minus 8 on the outside. The bigger polynomial is going to go on the inside. Does that make sense? So now what we're going to do is we're going to that's okay. We don't have to switch like that right now. So we want to look just at the x. We're not going to look at both of them, both the x and the minus 8. We're going to ignore that minus 8 for a moment. What do we multiply x by to get 10x squared?
10x.
Yeah, good. So a lot of you can do that in your head, and that's fine. I'm just writing it out here in case you're not understanding what it is that we're doing there. And so we have a 10x. And so we're going to take that 10x, and it doesn't matter where we put that 10x. And so we're going to take this 10x, and on the side, we're going to multiply it by our x minus 8. So we're going to use the distributive property, right? So what do we get? 10x squared minus 80x. So we're going to put that down here, 10x squared minus 80x. And what do we do with these two? Just like long division, we subtract. So this is where it's a little different. We have to subtract all of it. This is two different terms rather than one term. So that means we have to distribute that negative. Okay, so this 10x squared becomes a negative 10x squared. And this negative 80x becomes positive 80x. We have to distribute the negative because we have parentheses there with two terms. So now we're going to add. What happens to these two? Figures cancel, and then negative 84 plus 80x, excuse me, negative 4x. And then any idea what we're going to do with the 37? Bring it down, so plus 37. So again, we're going to look at what do we multiply x by to give us the negative 4x. Good. So that's going to be a negative 4, and then over on the side, you're going to take negative 4 times x minus 8, and what do we get when we take negative 4 times x minus 8? Yep. I'll answer your question later. So somebody else is already about. So we want to subtract. So we want to subtract both of them. So we're going to change the signs. So this is going to become positive, and this is going to become negative. And then we want to add. What do we get when we add those together? 5. That's right. So that's our remainder, the 5, and we are going to write it as plus 5 over x minus 8. And that's our answer. I know this is always a questions? So we do eventually when we multiply it out, but in deciding what to multiply it by, we don't. That's right. We just look at the x. That's right. So now, how would we write number 3? What goes on the outside? What goes on the inside?
The inside is the long numbers.
Yeah. Follow me so far? So again, just like on the last one, we're going to think about what is it that we multiply k by to get 8k to the third. What do we multiply k by to get 8k to the third? This group back here. I can't hear you if you said something. This is a 1 in front of the k. What do you multiply 1 by to get 8? 8. What do you multiply k by to get k to the third? 8k to the second. So we know it's 8k to the second. So we're going to take 8k to the second, and on the side, multiply it by the k plus 5. So this group back here, what do we get when we multiply 8k to the second by k plus 5? Yes. So we subtract. So we want to subtract, so we want to change our signs. So this becomes negative, this becomes minus. So what happens to these here? They cancel, and this becomes negative 4k squared. Bring down the negative 11k. And then, anybody know what the next step is? Does this seem be the hardest step. What do we do next? You know what we do next, Tia? Sorry, I thought you were starting to say it. We want to know what we multiply k by to get negative 4k squared. That would be a negative 4k. Does that make sense? And that's where we got the negative 4k from. You don't have to write this down. If you can do that in your head, fantastic. Do you have a question?
Yeah, how do you get the 4K?
So we got, what is it that you multiply k by to get negative 4k squared? This is a 1 in front of that. 1 times what is negative 4?
Oh,
Yeah, so negative 4, and then k times what is k squared? Okay, does that make sense? So now we want to look at this here, this negative 4k, and multiply it by the k plus 5. Tell me what we get when we multiply that.
Negative 4k squared minus 20k.
Good. Anybody remember what we do next? Change our signs, that's right. So we have to distribute that negative, so this becomes positive and this becomes positive. And now we add them. What do we get when we add them? This group here? 9k. So we bring the 52 down. And so we look at what do we multiply k by to get negative 9k? Positive 9 or negative 9? Negative 9. So we're going to take negative 9 times k plus 5, which gives us negative 9k minus 45. So we want to distribute that negative.
Oh.
Oops.
You don't want to distribute.
Sorry.
I don't think you need to.
It's positive 9k. My bad. Sorry about that. Good. So this is a positive 9k, so it gives us 9k plus 45. So when we distribute that negative, it becomes a negative 9k and a negative 45, which adds to 7. How do we write a remainder?
Plus 7 over k minus.
Good. So if that was a negative 7, we would write it as minus 7 over k plus 5. Okay, let's see if you can start it at least on your own on the next one. What goes on the outside? What goes on the inside? Smaller one, 2m minus 8 on the outside. Okay, get started on that.
Got the wrong time.
Would it be squared? Sure, 8n.
It's over.
It has to be the same number.
How much do those cost? 800?
This one has two numbers.
Okay, I'm going to talk about it. What do we multiply 2m by to get 16m squared cubed?
8m squared.
8m squared. Thank you, those of you who are sitting quietly. Attention back up here, please. So now what do we do next?
You multiply.
Multiply the 8m squared by 2m minus 8. And then here in this group, what do we get when we multiply it by the 2m minus 8? Yep. Yep, good. Squared. Okay, so now remember we need to do what with that minus? Distribute it. So change our signs. This becomes negative, this becomes positive, add them. And then what do we get when we add? Negative 12m squared. And then we look at what do we multiply? Oh, sorry, bring down the 42m. And what do we multiply 2m by to get negative 12m squared? Somebody besides Derek in this group, what do we multiply 2m by to get negative 12m squared?
Negative 6.
Good. Negative 6m. Negative 6m times 2m minus 8. Oh,
Yeah, better.
the pen is lagging. I don't know if it's the internet or what. Okay, so now we need to multiply. Yeah, you're right. I need to put it over here. Okay, so we get negative 12m squared plus 48m. And then we want to subtract, so we're going to distribute our negative, and we get what's it? Plus and minus. So now we add them, and what do we get when we add them?
20.
Negative 6.
Oh, yeah.
Negative m. And then we bring down our 29. What is it that we multiply? This group here. What do we multiply 2m by to get negative 6m? Negative 3 or negative 3? Yep, negative 3. So we take our negative 3 times 2m minus 8, which gives us negative 6m plus 24. And then we subtract, so we change our signs. And then what do we get? And so we write our remainder as plus 5 over 2m minus 8. Okay, can I get